Yo mga kababayan, it's your favorite balikbayan back with another, Filipino accent.
Lush yan. Deodorant. Toothpaste.
Yo mga kababayan, it's your favorite balikbayan itim back with another episode of TAGLISH the vlog, where I talk about the behind the scenes, the process, the stories behind the songs of my latest mixtape, TAGLISH, on all streaming platforms. So this episode is about the fourth song of my mixtape, Luha, or Tear in English. This song was the hardest to write on the project and was probably one of the hardest songs I've ever written. I knew that I had the title Luha, but I wasn't even really sure about what story I wanted to tell or what kind of music I even wanted to use. So I actually went through about 3 different beats and four drafts of the song. The song that you hear on the project is actually the 4th draft of lyrics that I wrote for this project. And so if you listen to the first version, it is night and day to how different it is with the final version of Luha. Maybe at some point I'll show these earlier versions just to be vulnerable and show all our artists you don't always get it the first time. It was funny because around the second beat I found and the 3rd sort of draft of lyrics I had written for the song, I was actually pretty happy with it. I thought I had found the version of Luha I wanted to put on this mixtape. And I showed this version of Luha to one of my really trusted friends. He's been one of my producers. Shout out Unagi. I really give him a lot of trust for giving me constructive criticism in my work. I think that's a great tip for us artists. We also have to know when to protect our process and our art, but we also have to know when we can open it up for others to help improve it. I thought that Luha was ready, but when he heard it and he gave me some constructive feedback like, hey, I think this has already been done before, this type of song, I think you can actually make this better. Hearing someone tell me that and say, yeah, I don't really feel that same aha moment when I listen to this, and I think you can do it better. Hearing someone do that motivated me to go back to the drawing boards and be like, okay, how can I actually make this better? Went back to the black hole of YouTube type beats, found Mixtape Soul's YouTube, again, because he had actually produced the beat for Ganda. Shout out Mixtape Soul. You know, when I heard the piano chords, when I heard the melody in my head, I was like, boom, this is it. Totally changed the tone of the song from this overly serious, trying to be really sad and heartbroken, changed from that to this sort of effortless, bittersweet tone. It had a different sort of poignance and a different sort of pain than just trying to go for the minor chords and the sad melody, but I think it was able to bring out the beauty of Luha, which was having these sad lyrics dressed in a seemingly happy melody, which makes this whole bittersweet tone of the song. The other side of this was the story I was telling. This is really what made it difficult, because the song is about my relationship with my Lolo, or my grandpa. The challenge for me, and I'm sure for other artists, is it's really hard for us to write about the people and even just the ideas and experiences that really mean a lot to us. Thinking, I don't know how I can possibly do justice to this person in my life who has meant so much. And I was afraid to even try because I felt like it was just such an insurmountable task that I couldn't really do it justice. But I took a risk, I just gave it a shot. And thankfully, once I really just started to get into the groove of writing, the words just started to pour out of the pen, or I guess my fingertips, because I'm typing on my phone. And so I tell this story of my Lolo, of my relationship with him. Like I say in the first verse, absent father, same old song, but friends could not sing along. I grew up with a single mom and my grandparents. Growing up in white suburbia, conservative Christian schools, most of the kids and families looked picture perfect. Dads were showing up at the basketball games, and I didn't have that because my mom was working and my Lola was at home. I had my Lolo there for me, picking me up, even watching my games, picking me up at practice. It was my Lolo that filled that role of a dad. I sort of went through a phase of feeling insecure about that because it was just different, and I was already very different because of my skin color, being one of a handful of non-white kids in my entire school. I already stuck out. And so to have also this sort of family that wasn't the typical white American nuclear family, I even stuck out more. I started to, as I grew up, of course, come to appreciate my relationship with my Lolo. And kind of that's what I talk about in the second verse of we spent a lot of time together just in his pickup truck, to and from football, basketball games, schools, debates. When I got to be older, around 16, 17, he was the one teaching me how to drive. And I remember when we would drive together, I would also ask him to teach me some Tagalog. And so he was my first Tagalog teacher. Having sort of established, my relationship with my Lolo, him growing up to be filling the role of my dad, I talk about the moment in 2018. Basically what happened was I had been planning to move here to the Philippines. And so I had been planning this move for about 4 years. Finally, in 2018, everything was set. I had my plane ticket. I was getting packed. I was getting ready to transition to my work over here in the Philippines. But ironically, at the same time, my Lolo's health really started to decline. So in September, he was in the ICU. His health really declined. And he was able to get out of the ICU, but they kept him in a sort of rehab center. The whole time from September to when I was about to leave, when I actually left, my Lolo was actually just in the ICU. It was in the rehab center. I was set to leave in December 2018. From September to December, my Lolo never came home. In October, I got a call from my mom, and this is what I talk about in verse 3. I got a call from my mom telling me, yeah, it looks like Lolo only has a few months. At most, he has months to live. That news really, really hit hard because I thought he was still going to be around for years. Of course, he wasn't who he used to be. He was a lot weaker. His health was declining. But I thought at least he had to have a few years, and he was going to see me get married, see me actually kind of grow up because I feel like I still haven't. It was a really crazy process preparing to leave and make this huge transition in my life, moving to the Philippines while my Lolo was literally on his deathbed. That's what verse 3 is talking about, how my last 4 months in the U.S. were the last few months that my Lolo had left. I'll never forget when I told him goodbye. I saw him with my family and we had our parting. If you know about the movie Moana, it was very much like that moment when Moana said bye to her grandmother on her deathbed. And she knew she had to go, and her grandmother kind of encouraged her, and almost her death was a sort of confirmation that it was time to move on to her next season of life and her next adventure. And it felt a little bit like that. Crazy as the timing was, it just kind of made sense that my Lolo's passing was also this mark of a huge transition in my life to move on to this new life that I would have here in the Philippines. I say goodbye to my Lolo, moved to the Philippines, and then sure enough, on January 21, it was late at night, early in the morning in the US. My mom FaceTimes me crying and telling me that my Lolo had passed away. So thankfully, I was able to go back to the US for a week and attend the wakes and the actual funeral, and I got to be with my family through that time. Moving on in that year was a really difficult time, and it was a really difficult process of mourning my Lolo, and also being in my first year living in the Philippines, dealing with homesickness, all the culture shock, and also mourning and grieving the loss of my Lolo. But I'm thankful that I was able to process this whole crazy experience through this song Luha and tell the story of my Lolo and growing up with my Lolo, and be able to grieve in this way and express my pain and process and grieving through a song. And so I'm really, really thankful for the attention Luha has gotten. I can't even be more thankful because this is the song that means the most to me on the TAGLISH project. The only thing I can hope is that it's of some comfort and release to others who are also grieving and experiencing loss, and that it can be part of your healing process as you move on and live the life that your loved ones would be proud of. But that is the story of Luha. Thank you all for watching this episode. Please, please, please be sure to stream the TAGLISH project on all major streaming platforms. You can check the link in bio or the link in the description below. And please watch the Luha music video, shot and edited by my really great friend, Michelle Abiera, aka Miss Kalulua. And of course, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTuber things. If you're watching this on Instagram, please like. Feel free to drop a comment, drop a heart, drop a tear emoji, and even share this on your story. It would be much appreciated. So with all that to say, until next time, it's ingat and salamat, mga kababayan.
Kailan mo busang luha sa aking mga mata, parang ulap na may ulan. Tama na, tumigil ka na. Luha, luha, ulan ang aking mata. Kailan ang alis ng ulan? Tama na, tama na. Napapagod ako sa